Hi everybody, this is Cheryl, and I wanted to share with you something that I've been doing for quite a few years. This all started many years ago when my son Brandon created a binder for me for the drawings that he made for me. He done a lot of drawings, and so he put them in a notebook binder like this one, and or similar to it, with page protectors in it, and he put all of these drawings in it. Well, from there, it kind of developed into cook recipes. And I had been given like all these recipe books, and I didn't use that many recipes out of it, and I wanted to get rid of some of the cookbooks, so I just created my own cookbook, and I wrote down in it the recipes that I actually did use, that I actually did like. And over the years, I've added to it. And this is the latest one that I'm working on. This one has things in it that maybe I've gotten out of magazines. Of course, it has different things for the kitchen, storage tips and holiday. And this one is in works, but it's going to, some of these recipes I got to try out yet, and want to make sure I want to keep them and that kind of stuff. But from there, it went into my crocheting and sewing and quilting and all of that. And a lot of my patterns for crochet, I actually make myself. I do have patterns that I bought or found or whatever, but a lot of my patterns are my own. So I created one for crochet. From there, it just kind of went into, whatever I wanted to make up for my binders, whatever I needed them for. And my daughter is eventually going to make one for knitting, and the crafts that she does. So when I started prepping, I started a new binder. And what I did, it is a work in progress, that eventually a lot of this stuff will be in its own binder, a lot of the sections that I have. What I did was I got me a binder, and I got these little tabs. They're sticky note tabs, and I just took notebook paper, and I just stuck the tabs on them like this and labeled them according to what I needed. Right now, everything in here is handwritten, but eventually a lot of these sections will have their own binder. But what I did was we sat down and we said, okay, what is it that could be an emergency for us? What kind of emergencies would we face? And we sat down and we wrote down what all of the emergencies that we could face. And then we said, okay, well, what do we have to do to prepare for that? And so then we wrote down everything that we felt like we would need to do to prepare for those emergencies. And eventually, we got our list together. We figured out, okay, this is what we need to prep for. This is what we need to get for those preps. And so we created things like a to-do list. What do we need to do to get ready for those emergencies? And then we done a checklist. Okay, with that checklist, it might be, okay, on our to-do list, we have to do this, this, and this. Okay, then we had to break a lot of that down, and we created a checklist for each of those things. And then we'd also done inventory list, where we write down everything that we have, where it's stored at, how it's stored, what's it stored in, and everything that we have prepped is in our inventory, so that we know exactly where it is and what's going on with it. We have every bit of information you could think of about it in our inventory. We also done a shopping list of things that we know we need to get or maybe get more of. And as we, buy what we need or whatever, then we put, we put it down in our notebook. And then I started writing things down, tips, ideas, information from watching videos that you all make. We'd watch videos and maybe, something might come up that you all do that we go, oh, you know what? That's a good idea. We need to write that down. And I started writing those down. Okay, so when we got the basics down of everything that we needed to do for prepping, then we went into, okay, what else do we need to prepare for? What else do we need to learn? And so I started making sections for that. Some of the things that I have here is I actually have a section on nothing but books that you all recommend. Books that, excuse me, that you all find that are good books to have. And I have a whole list of books, also in websites, that you all recommend. The other thing I am writing down and eventually will have its own binder is information about gardening. Tips and for, how to start plants, planting seeds, transplanting, cleaning up the garden, just anything to do with gardening. It has a section for that. There's so much that you can do. One of the things that I want to learn about is gardening. One of the things, even though I gardened as a child and grew up pretty much on a farm, there's still a lot that I don't know that, I still want to learn. And there's a lot more. I mean, it's anything that you think is important for you and your family to learn. And I have a lot of things I want to learn about. And, when I watch your videos and I learn something new, like I have a section on knots. And so I learn this stuff, I write it down, I practice it. If I'm doing something and it's not coming out right, I can go back to what I wrote down and say, oh, that's what I'm doing wrong. And I also write down who done it so that if I'm confused, I can go back and watch that video again. Oh yeah, he done that video. And yeah, I'm go back and watch it and I'm okay. Now the other part of this, by putting all this information down in these books, by creating these binders for my crochet patterns or for my cookbooks of my favorite recipes or my gardening tips or whatever it is, not only am I able to use them and refer back to them, but my kids refer back to them. They go to them and they can look at them. And eventually these binders will be passed down to my kids and eventually their kids. So it's not just, for me and keeping track for me, but it's also something that my kids and my grandkids and even my great-grandkids might be able to do. And, a lot of stuff like crochet and quilting and things like that aren't as popular today. And there's a lot of people that would like to learn, but they don't know who to turn to. Well, something like this would be available. It's a hard copy. They would be able to see it and be able to learn how to do it and keep alive those things that are important to you or things that you feel like needs to be passed on for future generations. So, it's might be a simple thing, to write down a pattern or a recipe or something. But, for future use, you just never know. And so, I just thought I would share this and hopefully it will help someone You know, you just never know. But you all have a nice day, and I will see you later.